Imagine you've been married for 10 years. You think you know your husband, his quirks, his dreams, his past. But one night, you open your front door to see a woman standing there, holding a marriage certificate. And the man in the photo? It's your husband. But the name printed under it isn't the name you know. Now imagine that this woman isn't the only one. One by one, they start appearing. 7 women in total, all claiming the same man as their husband, and not a single one knows his real name. Today's story is about betrayal on a scale so unimaginable that it doesn't just destroy lives. It erases the very identities of those involved. And it all starts with a wedding that should never have happened. This is not your typical cheating husband story. No late-night text to a mistress. No lipstick on the collar. This was a man who built 7 entirely separate lives. 7 marriages in different states. 7 different versions of himself. In one town, he was Daniel Reeves, a successful architect. In another, he was Matthew Kane, a Navy veteran. To one woman, he was a widower raising a daughter. To another, he was an only child who lost his parents in a tragic fire. None of them knew the truth. And the truth was worse than any of them could imagine. His real name wasn't Daniel, or Matthew, or any of the others. He was a man who didn't exist on paper at all, not legally anyway. And the day the lies began to unravel started with a missed flight and a single phone call. It was March 2019 when Hannah Reeves, at least that's the name she went by, was waiting at the airport to pick up her husband from a business trip. The flight from Chicago was delayed, then canceled. She called his cell. No answer. She texted. No reply. Hours later, her phone rang, but it wasn't him. It was a woman named Claire. "I think we need to talk," Claire said. "It's about Daniel." Hannah's heart stopped. Claire's next words hit like a freight train. "He's my husband, too." Hannah laughed at first, thought it was some scam or prank. But then Claire described him down to the tiny scar above his eyebrow and the way his right hand shook when he was angry. Claire insisted they meet. When Hannah arrived at the coffee shop, Claire wasn't alone. Sitting beside her was another woman, Rachel. And in Rachel's hand was a wedding photo of the same man, but under a different name, Matthew Kane. The 3 women compared notes, piecing together a map of lies. Their weddings were years apart, in different cities. The timelines overlapped in ways that made no sense, unless he was living double, triple, quadruple lives. They decided to confront him, but before they could, the story went nuclear. Because the next day, a 4th woman showed up at Hannah's house, and then a 5th, and a 6th. By the time the dust settled, 7 women have been identified, each married to the same man under a different name. The logistics were mind-boggling. He'd rotate between them like clockwork, claiming business trips, family emergencies, or military deployments. He even used different accents and backstories. Some women had children with him. Others were told he couldn't have kids. One wife was convinced she was his one true love after he lost everything in a fake bankruptcy. But the most chilling part? None of them knew his real name. The search for answers led to a shocking discovery. His real name was Thomas Greer. And Thomas Greer was a wanted fugitive. 20 years earlier, he'd been charged with fraud and identity theft in Florida. He'd skipped bail, vanished, and reinvented himself again and again, slipping through the cracks of the system by exploiting weak ID laws, fake documents, and sheer charisma. The women compared their lives, realizing they'd been financing his empire without knowing it. He'd taken loans in their names, opened credit cards, drained savings. He wasn't just a con artist. He was a predator who stole years of their lives. The FBI became involved, piecing together his trail. Every alias led to another state, another set of victims. His charm had been his weapon, and the women admitted Even after discovering the truth, it was hard to reconcile the man they loved with the monster he was. The sting operation to catch him was as dramatic as his lies. Using Hannah as bait, the FBI arranged a reunion in a public park. Thomas arrived wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses, carrying flowers. He spotted Hannah, smiled, and walked toward her until agents swarmed in from every direction. His arrest was caught on multiple cell phones, and the footage went viral. But the trial was where the real emotional carnage unfolded. Each woman took the stand, recounting how they met him, how they believed him, how he made them feel special before shattering their lives. The jury didn't take long. Guilty on all counts: fraud, identity theft, bigamy, and more. He was sentenced to 45 years in federal prison. But for the women, justice was bittersweet. They'd never get back the years they lost. They'd never know if every smile, every kiss, every whispered, "I love you" was real or just another part of the con. And perhaps the cruelest twist of all, while they now knew his real name, to them, he would always be the man they thought they knew. This case isn't just about a man who lied. It's about the illusion of knowing someone. It's about the danger of assuming that love is proof of truth. These 7 women weren't foolish. They weren't naive. They were targeted because they were human, because they trusted, and trust is both our greatest strength and our greatest weakness. The lesson here? Love deeply, but verify ruthlessly, because sometimes the person sleeping beside you isn't who you think they are. And in this case, he wasn't just someone else. He was 7 someone else's. The day Thomas Greer was led away in handcuffs, the women stood together for the first time. Different backgrounds, different cities, different lives, but bound forever by the same betrayal. They walked out of that courtroom, not as victims, but as survivors. And maybe that's the only real justice in a story like this.